Lista, the Gwen ban already. It is also the Poppy and the Rumble ban by Weibo.
So they could throw another top lane ban here. Remember, it was Scion on 3 from Weibo in the first game.
Ooh.
Getting rid of the Misfortune, interesting. So maybe even prepping for an Ezreal very early on. I don't think it's going to be first pick worthy. I think, if anything, they're going to try and secure the mid lane pick here, especially now that Aurora has gone through and is ready for game 2.
True. That would be kind of fun to see. Maybe a little bit more mobility out of that mid lane as well. Let's see, as Weibo are holding that last ban to the last second. It's going to be the Ashe that you talked about, and it is going to be taken away. So first pick on the table for TT. Last time around, it was the Varus first pick. Didn't really pay dividends there with how much the blue side first pick can get.
Oh, we just completely missed Nefiri. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
They banned it the last game. That was the other ban that was on TT's
Beichuan's first game of Nefiri here. It only took us a couple months, but a couple weeks, I should say. But now that we're here, gotta see if he's going to be carrying. This is already kind of in his wheelhouse. What are we going to see from him? Can he be the big carry for this team? Because he's really been the initiator, the person that's starting the fight. Sometimes has to give up his life so that TT can find an angle. And we're just getting a world of firsts here. Tian's first Skarner game here.
Yeah, I love it though. It's immediate lockdown onto the Nefiri. We'll see if they actually are able to combine that with some real carry performances from their solo lanes, just like we saw in that last game. But that's what they're setting up for here. And a lot of spatial lockdown right now by Weibo as they grab that Talia too.
Wow, the times in which Tian has actually played Skarner, it was 2018 Spring, 2023 Regional Finals, and then 2 games at this last year's World. So insane track record there. But now with the Skarner, you have so much great setup with Talia, one of Xiaohu's best champions that we've seen from him this year. And ThunderTalk maybe opting for a bit of a dive, wanting to get right into the face of something like Talia. I like this. This is probably going up towards top lane.
I kind of like it. You're playing around Beichuan, which we had said in past, and especially in split 1 of this year. I mean, that was a main focus for TT in finding a lot of wins, was playing through Beichuan's carries. Now they're going to try to set him up for success here as well. They are going to go with the Gnar, so that should be with this Galio in mid.
Yeah, Galio, I mean, we haven't seen SeTab play the Galio this year. Obviously expect him to do so, but I feel like this is definitely like, all right, you got to play Ryze. You've been playing a lot of these carries. I need you to take a backseat this game. We need some we need some more support coming in from the mid lane.
True.
So going to be difficult for some of these lanes from Weibo to really push out their opposition, or at least chunk them out very early on. And what I need to see from Weibo is not only how are we moving this Jace around, but how are we again mobilizing Xiaohu and Tian around the map to make it very difficult for TT to play.
That's the biggest kicker. And now that we're in the second phase of bans, we already get that Rakan ban away from Feather. It is going to be the Corki ban as well towards Light. Still been something that we've been seeing fluctuate a lot into that bot lane, especially to add some flexibility to the damage profile of your team. But the second ban is going to be important to think about because it's got to be maybe some more setup around TT is what they're going to be focusing for that next phase. It is the Ezreal.
I like that. Now the Corki's already gone. You've already have the Misfortune and the Kalista, so with Ezreal taken away, I'm gonna be honest, I'm looking at either a Kaisa potentially here for either of our AD carries. Jhin definitely comes to mind as well, but depending on what the AD carry is, I think there's a very real possibility we actually get that Jinx game that I was talking about.
Yeah, I could see it. Maybe the Draven too. I don't know if we want to get that wild here, but we'll see the Xayah ban finally by TT as their last ban. And it will be the Kaisa picked up by Light here to add a little bit more damage to their profile that we were talking about. And that's some dive potential to go on top of a ton of CC.
Really great poke coming in from Breathe, and then you just have so much dive if you really want it. Although, I will say from what Weibo are showing, this feels more like a poke slash
for sure
pick composition. You do have the fact that with so many champions on the side from TT, it is going to be difficult for them to actually punch through a front line, but if they get a seismic shove, suddenly the game kind of changes. So how Weibo play around terrain is going to kind of be life or death for them.
Yeah. The Tristana Rel were the final lock-ins for TT. So they do have some damage going for them. It will be the Tristana bot lane, though. So we'll see if they can adapt some focus down there. But for me, the all eyes for TT are on Beichuan, on this Nefiri. You have to carry on this champion.
So we need to see early invades. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get lane priority, but you're playing Nefiri, so being able to jump walls is not really an issue for this champion very early on. And I want to look at how ThunderTalk are going to play around Beichuan with this Nefiri, because he doesn't have very many targets. I'm going to assume that Breathe is going to be going like the mixed bruiser build of Jace, so you're kind of only focusing Talia and Kaisa, and it's already difficult enough to get onto Talia with her Unraveled Earth.
Yeah, it definitely can be, and I think there's a lot of options for that kind of siege potential, but also objective control from the side of Weibo, and that does bar a little bit of an executionary factor for them to find and set up around those objectives. But I do really like the at least concept of giving Beichuan, at least for TT's side of things, that extra resource, that extra give to try to take down Tian.
He needs to be the big driver here. When we talk about this team, it has almost exclusively been 1xN Feather and then the rest of the crew, the supporting cast here. I think this is by and far away the most, like, I guess, tools and kind of carry potential we've seen from him. We've gotten like a couple of games of Zyra. I think the Nidalee games have been so-so. And you have Nefiri, one of the most important champions that we've gotten, so gonna be big, kind of a big question as to whether or not ThunderTalk can actually get into the backline. They have so much dive here with this Galio and this Tristana. The fact that they can link up, it's very easy for them to play, in my mind.
Yeah. Need to see them be proactive as well and get a little bit of a lead. If the last game was anything to go off of, TES will run away with things. We're into game number 2. Weibo on match point in this best of 3.
Oh my god, we got Jason Arcane. Beautiful cosplayers.
Hey,
oh my god.
Let's go. And we also got cheers for both teams more than once. Let's go. We're leveling up. Okay.
I think, the fans are waiting for later in the split. I will be honest. There are a lot of games now. There's a lot of games. The splits aren't as long as they used to be, considering now we're playing a 3-split year. So maybe wanting to
because of the lack
experience.
Because of the lack of Nirvana games, do they become more high priority? Because like, oh my god, we finally get to see Nirvana like one time a week.
So we talked about this last night, and Grapes was asking me, like, do you think it's better that the Nirvana groups are backloaded or front-loaded? And for me personally, I would like to get all the Nirvana games out as soon as possible, because then I get to watch the best teams play, right? Like, I get to just have only group
want
ascend.
2 teams to be eliminated from the rest of the year super early.
LNG
let's get them out like next week.
Look, by the end of this month, we might have LNG done with the year, which I'm okay with compared to what we've seen from them. So, focusing back in on this game, junglers are starting on the same side, but important note here for Weibo is that they got early vision and can already know that Beichuan has the possibility of ending up on top side same time as Tian. So, will be something I'm going to be keeping track of as we get through this game in the early game.
Yeah, and I think mid-jungle combinations are going to be super important for the at least bridge building for both junglers in this regard. A lot of CC setup for Weibo once they get to that level 6 mark. I expect that to be the case around that grub fight at some point in the near future. But we also saw a little bit of a late dragon stack start last time around after the first grub spawn. Does this pathing lead to more of that? Or are we just going to fully focus grubs this time around again?
So there's a very real likelihood that dragon becomes very important in this series, or in this game, because of the fact that I don't think either team really wants to kind of play on the side lane. Weibo are slightly better at being able to do that with the Talia and Jace, but I just don't think it's going to be a meaningful factor here. And I think that the dragon starts, specifically this bot lane, is really explosive, or has the potential to be very explosive. So I'm kind of looking towards, after they finish their first clears, whether or not these junglers are going to kind of try to flip their pathing or have some stops ready for the bottom side of the map.
More importantly, though, as my zoological brain takes over,
Okay.
who wins in the fight over a scuttle crab, a dog or a scorpion?
Why are you asking
honestly,
me? You're the zoo guy here. Don't
well,
ask
no,
me these
that's
questions.
why I'm picking it apart with my brain. I mean, I guess it
Yeah.
depends because that is a giant scorpion.
feel
But
like
honestly,
a
pack of dogs should win that. Yeah, but the pack of dogs got scared. He's a big scorpion.
Yeah, Nefiri's now flipped and gone towards the bottom side of the map.
Oh.
Tien's here.
Stalls impact, gets flashed and jumped away from by Hoya. But that will be returned to, no doubt. TP is going to get expended by Hoya, and Breathe will pick up some turret plates.
I think really good job on the opposite side of the map coming in from Weibo just to try to protect some of these camps. Now, SeTab in a bit of a wary position, dodges out on the flip, and Feather's here to reinforce, but he has been getting taken to task here in this 1v1. He's going to obviously, it's going to get easier for him to play as he goes forward. More levels, more HP, more items to try to help with that, but so far Xiaohu has been doing a good job in both of these games of kind of holding down SeTab and putting on the hurt.
Getting a little presence with that walk up from both supports, as we already got the transition to top lane by 1xN. Like, going to be a little bit later on that move. Maybe to try to get a dive off beforehand. Tian will be spotted on this side of the map. Grub's coming
Feather's
up in about
here.
1:10. Feather is going to be here.
Okay, so he's noted. They're going to stop the dive, at least not go for it right now. Really smart job from Hoya and the rest of ThunderTalk. I was a little bit worried. We talked about it earlier, right? We're like, you know, Gnar is a champion that doesn't usually succeed in a lot of the dives. So, you know, that was kind of a reason we didn't see him in the lane swap meta that often. But TT, just recognizing that they were able to make that swap, they move Feather over. And, okay, I don't know how
That
much
was an
this
interaction
changes
of all time.
Yeah, his jungler is here, and really, I think this kind of helps the Tristana. Hopefully, they're able to actually fight on this top side. But I mean, SeTab took such a big trade early on that I think he's more focused on just getting level 6 so that they can play for these grubs.
I love to see teams that know they have an advantage go for little things that mean big differences, right? Just sneaking that dragon before this first spawn of grubs. It's not something we see a lot of teams go for in these days, but it is something that Weibo were willing to go commit towards now. They do get the reset and redeploy onto the top side. Should be there in time for this grub contest. Should be started up, though, by TT, as looks like Beichuan will be the first one there.
So Hoya does have teleport. I do assume that ThunderTalk, what they're going to do is probably send this Gnar up into the top lane. If a fight breaks out within the next 10-15 seconds, there will be no Mega Bar available. And Hoya's actually ending up staying. So maybe even trying to squeeze for level 6 on this next minion wave, but he's not going to have enough time to build up enough rage for the ultimate available.
This feels a little tough. Light is trying to keep Hoya here. He's actually taking him at the 1v1. Gets the force out, but Hoya will have the TP, and unfortunately Light does not take TP as the ADC. Actually, Weibo forced out of the grub pit. They realize what the play can develop into. Will just give away the first 3 grubs to TT.
I think they just recognize that, yes, they do have a Jace on the opposite side, so his level 6 is not as impactful, but they've got a Galio. You know, Hero's Entrance is a hell of a drug if you only watch Grand Finals of Worlds last year, so I get it. I understand. They didn't want to play around a potential big loss point there in Weibo's side, and now ThunderTalk coming back into these lanes. They have these early grubs. We do need to see them use it. You have a Tristana this time. The ability to take down turrets is a lot easier in comparison, but we really haven't seen Weibo give them much space to actually hit on these structures.
Looks like we're going to get a little bit of scaling implementation. Tian trying to get in there. Be a dirty son of a gun in the chicken nugget take. It's going to be the first time we see Tian be a little aggressive in his pathing so far here in this one. Which I think if you're going to keep pressure on the Defiri, that's a good thing to think about. Because this champion, if just left to her own devices, will just farm away. And you already see a decent differential being developed there by Beichuan.
Yep. Coming back to the solo lanes here, I'm really liking how Xiaohu's been playing. We kind of saw it in the minimap there. As soon as Jace tries to push that top lane wave, since they don't know where the bottom lane pair is, drops into Fog of War, because he knows on a dime he basically has to be ready to go top lane in that instance. But Breathe does end up giving up the wave. Tian will be here in time to try to reinforce this. Hung has actually gone and recalled, so they're going to try and just make sure that this doesn't go down. There's really nothing to play for the time being, so again, I kind of wanted to see how much structural damage can ThunderTalk get during this timer, just because there's not much to play for at this moment.
And if we're teeing off from the last game's performance, obviously it was kind of, as we said towards the end of it, what we expected from Weibo. But that's what a wild card like TT can always bring to the table here in a group like Group Ascend, where if they get the right comp, they get the right trigger, they can absolutely be a menace to the standings here. And it is double round robin, so a lot left to give. What I said, getting stopped in his back. It'll be fine, though. He should be able to just back away. Is going to still commit to that reset, though. Might be in a little bit of trouble. As that top lane is going to get pushed in. They did end up bringing Light and Hung up that way. Still a while till this next grub spawn for them, but about a minute till that next dragon spawn. Weibo utilizing that dragon stacking for themselves last game very, very handily.
And look at what they're doing on the map here. They're just constantly swapping. They do not want to give the Kai'Sa the ability to 1v1 or play against, or more specifically probably the Gnar versus Jace. So everywhere that this bot lane moves, Weibo are next up on the map. It's TT. They're like, okay, we just saw Jace on the bottom lane. Let's try to get our Gnar onto the opposite side of the map. And I love this coming in from Weibo. They're not only matching, but I think cutting off. And now they've made it very awkward for ThunderTalk. It's 30 seconds before the Dragon. Beichuan's going to try to get a recall in here. And if he can get early Eclipse before this next fight, I will say there is potential for them to try to find an angle in this next upcoming objective.
Yeah, the big convergence here in this next grub spawn is the timing of first items, plus the fact that everybody's going to have ultimates this time around. And I think if we're looking at it, Weibo trying to get a early pick before the fighting even kicks off. Looking here onto Feather as well. Going to get the impale there too. Xiaohu steps in and the kill goes to Tian. I think that's going to be a bold TP from SeTab, though. Hung is the focus by Beichuan. Gets one reset there. Looking to get some more kills. Gets the heroic entrance as well. Weibo starting to feel the heat of the dog, but SeTab goes in and dies. Light takes him down. And now Weibo with momentum at their back. Looking to take down Beichuan and 1xN here. Tian going to flash play. Exalt impact. Seismic shove does not hit after the flash from 1xN. That'll be a ton burned by both sides.
And that should just be the Dragon here going over to ThunderTalk. Breathe, going for an all-in onto Hoya. He still has Flash. So, not under too much threat here, but really good stuff there from Weibo to find that kill. Find those 2 kills there. And Tian even trading his summoner spells. So these next grubs in particular are going to be a bit tricky for ThunderTalk to be able to fight. There's no ultimates from SeTab or Beichuan. And now no Flash or Cleanse. As we get a replay here, I'm kind of glad that they ended up kind of pulling this onto Feather. I think there's a very real kind of likelihood that I think this fight could have gone a lot better here for ThunderTalk.
Oh, Xiaohu getting away from a time. Step to the King of Spring and you're going to get the claws, baby. That's a tiger to you. Xiaohu with a massive 2 for 1-0 under turret.
Well, Lennon, I'm going to be honest.
Bring your masses.
That's probably the 2-0 there.
Bring your masses.
For this play. Get me out. Get me out, boys. We're done. This game's over. I mean, like, I'm obviously exaggerating, but they lose the 3 grubs on the opposite side of the map. 2 of them die when they could have just rotated their bot lane up for this play instead. I think a massive mistake coming in for ThunderTalk that, again, jeopardizes the game state here.
No way, man.
They just, I mean, the Unraveled Earth, just so much work, especially with the Seismic Shove. It stops 1xN from being able to auto-attack and maybe get that last auto to get the explosive charge, and then he just TPs out. They get the top tier 1 as well. In basically 2 minutes, ThunderTalk have just giving their opponents almost a 2,500 gold lead.
Oh, it's giving me a little bit of recollection from that last game, too. All of a sudden, you blinked, and Weibo were up like 4,000 gold, and they did not look back. TT not going to give up on the map state here, looking for a little bit of something on that bot side. Didn't really find much. Need to protect 1xN, but also Hoya is getting caught out. They go for the play on the Light. This is it. They try to pull the trigger, and the dive is not there. The flash comes through, and Light is safe. Hoya will burn his flash on bot side, but they will not take his life either.
Really well played there, coming in from Light, just showing a lot of poise in there. Gets the ultimate out, does lose his summoner spells, so hey, that Herald that's spawning in 3 minutes, same thing with this Dragon. They will not be available for this next upcoming fight, so someone that they can look to focus, again, with this Rel and Mafiri combo.
Now we are on first items for everybody, except for supports. Obviously, they don't get to have any fun. We are still looking to scale up on Xiaohu and complete that Seraph. So we take a little look at what happened in bot side as well. But does this item spike change anything here? Does it feel like TT have a dog in the fight, at least for Beichuan?
After all that, I think Hoya's just dead.
Yeah, no, there's no.
All right, cool. Later,
he's
brother.
Gone.
I will say that I think the first items for ThunderTalk are a lot stronger, but you look at how they're playing fights, you look at some of the item or more the experience differential between some of the champions here, and I think they're starting to get a little bit diffed. I think the first items are not going to do much here. I mean, even for SeTab, it's a scaling Rod of Ages here, and Xiaohu now finished with the Seraphs. He's just that much more difficult to kill.
Oh, it's so tough. And again, we go back to the conversation for draft. It was literally about the spatial construct that Weibo wanted to make around these objectives, around these fights, with all the spacing tools that they have. They've been able to utilize it very well. 1xN still trying to farm his way to victory here. Does have a little bit of a CS differential, but unfortunately the kill going Light's way did change that factor a little bit. So TT struggling to find anything in this series, and they're going to have to keep trying to come up with answers. We have a Rift Herald spawn coming up in about a minute. Another Dragon. Luckily, TT did go 1-1 on that one, but coming up in about a minute and a half, too.
Well, now that they have both of the tier 1s on either side lane, this mid lane turret is very susceptible to a dive.
I think I might have lost AlkBattery.
Oh, nope. I was muted on Discord.
Oh. Nice. Let's go,
nice.
My king.
I was just saying that with the tier 1s down, this makes the mid-tier 1 very susceptible to a dive. Like, you can have Talia come in from a side lane and cut them off. You have the Skarner that can get ready. So warding both sides, not only the blue side entrance, but also taking control of Raptors, is potentially going to give an opening for Weibo to, I think, crack this game open and really find a solid lead. Already 3,000 gold up, and a majority of that has been just them outplaying around these objectives. And, hey, we've got a couple of those spawning in a few seconds' time.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Beichuan's numbers go up in the CS differential over him and Tian, and wondering if it's really going to matter, or is this one of those games like solo queue where you have a really fed jungler, but it did not matter because of everything else going on in the game. The Rift Herald is up. I wonder how much priority that takes over the Dragon spawning in about 15 seconds. Weibo have actually been very willing to go for some of these Dragon stacking setups, but TT going to be the first to the Rift Herald and start it up now.
So Xiaohu could use his ultimate, but he's kind of retreating from this area. I assume that as Weibo continue to move forward, we're going to be getting set up. There's the Talia wall, but he didn't jump through it. He can just walk out. What?
All right.
Okay.
Well.
All right. Well, now he's here.
The Rift Herald's down to about 2,000 now as well. Beichuan is there. It'll be taken by Tian. No way. Gonna get the two-man impale too. Light is just untouched here, shining like the man he is. Heroic entrance is gonna be stopped in the middle of it. 1xN trying to get the resets, but he's in the wins. Is he gonna get it? He's down. SeTab trying to get the cleanup kills out of the rest of Weibo. They might actually get some of these more here. No, wins of 4, not enough. Hung gets out, but that's 3 kills for 1 to TT's favor.
Okay, but how much damage now can ThunderTalk do on the map? You already see Beichuan pinging over to the Dragon. Hoya is still, he didn't even TP for that play. That could have gone a lot worse, but I mean, Weibo lose the fight in its entirety. They did not have enough setup. I think the fact that this Talia wall is just absolutely useless didn't set up the fight all that well. Tian even lands a 2-man Skarner ultimate, but this flash from SeTab puts so much pressure, it stops them, and we get to see 1xN finally pop off into this fight, even if it comes at the fact that he has to just flash, he has to use everything to try to get this done.
But isn't that so accustomed to what we've seen from TT? When they find these clutch wins, a lot of the time it's 1xN popping the hell off in team fights. Luckily, they gave him the Tristana this time around, but he's got a large mountain to climb here as another dragon goes the way of Weibo. That should be getting close to second item for majority members there.
It's tough, though, because as fun as that fight was, Lennon, Tristana no longer has Flash or Cleanse. I think while she does have an innate jump ability already, as part of her kit, I think not having those summoner spells is really, really dangerous. They summon the Rift Herald, didn't get all that much done. Tian's coming over the side.
Tian gets stopped by the Shattering Strikes. They got the turret. That's all they really wanted. It'll force the retreat out of the rest of TT. And it'll be Weibo moving back out. Hoya was getting a side lane turret. Should be able to clean that gold up. Needs to get out of here after that, though. Weaver's wall coming in. He just wanted to get the turret. The turret finally falls, but he might get caught out here. Hoya needing to try to TP, but Xiaohu expertly waiting for it, and now he goes down. Breathe will kill his counterpart, get his first kill of the game.
All right, but look, during all of this, they put members towards the bottom side of the map. SeTab's going to, at the very least, crash this wave. Also has Beichuan, so that'll be 2 turrets there, and I think Weibo over-indexing to try to get that mid lane tier 1. End up coming the losers in that trade versus ThunderTalk. So some good gold going over to the side of TT.
Very true. And TT, they gave the resources to Beichuan. They said, here, take the dog and go on a walk. And he's on 2-0 now. And with 2 items completed, that Black Cleaver and the Clips combo there. So very much in favor of Beichuan if he can find the right targets and find the right carry moments.
And we look across from them here, Lennon, and I just see Muramana almost completed here for Breathe. What looks to be a Leandri second item for Xiaohu. Same thing with like a Rage Blade coming in for Light. So once these item wake-ups come through, I mean, there's no real objective to fight for at the moment. Otacon is just now spawning, but I'm mostly looking at that dragon in 3 minutes' time. That becomes a big issue here for ThunderTalk and how they want to be able to play these fights out.
Very true. I now think the presence Weibo are putting on bot side, maybe they just want to start up the Otacon. Feels a little bold, but honestly wouldn't be out of their wheelhouse now. But I think mid lane prio is definitely the more important thing to them. It is still going to be a while till we get that next dragon spawning on the bot side of things, though. It is getting closer and closer to second items for 1xN and for SeTab. See if they can eventually get to that threshold there. Beichuan going to go for a cheeky little steal on the red buff here in top side of the map and does get it away from Tian.
Okay, so that's nice for now, but we kind of put the onus on 1xN and Beichuan here. Beichuan now on this Nefiri, about a level over his opponent, has those two items like we were noting earlier, and has had an okay game so far on the Nefiri, but we haven't really had that breakout performance, that 1v9 Nefiri moment that just goes, oh, nice, we get to see, you know, a certified Nefiri moment. So I am still waiting and kind of holding my breath before we kind of get excited for ThunderTalk, because they have all the makings of a strong team fight here, but they haven't been able to piece it together in this game.
Beichuan has to use his untargetable there to get away from the seismic shove from Xiaohu. Tian now looking for him on the back end. We talked so heavily about Weibo's setup. They have so much area denial. They have so much setup in CC. They get one big pick, one big flick. It could just be the difference maker. Still so much time for another objective coming up. And Weibo are just desperate to get some more dragons. And honestly, if you look back to it, TT's denial of that third dragon, at least that Weibo would have right now after they denied that ocean dragon, is gonna come back to be a pretty big boon for ThunderTalk.
At the very least, it'll deny the game or deny the spawn of a soul, at least for the next 6 to 8 minutes. So that's at least good for ThunderTalk. I don't know necessarily. Oh, they're just ripping this. I mean, you have Skarner, you have Kaisa. Why not? Yeah.
They see Beichuan as well with the wards there, and just pesky little warding control by Hung. Otacon will fall. Flowers aplenty. Roses, rather. And no denial from TT whatsoever. They repositioned on the top side of this fight. And now Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds out. This is tough. Hoya's about to have Megadar. They try to go the re-engage over on to Breathe. Beichuan has everything in his arsenal here for him.
SeTab.
They go with the double taunt. And now 1xN. He might just go for those pop-off resets here. They've got them stuck into a corner. And it's dogs to the fight. Although they already lose Feather. That means their frontliner's gone, TT. Even with Megadar, they're feeling a little bit hesitant. Weibo fighting fighting on the wrong side of the map. Hoya going for a two-man, but Hoya's the big focus now. Look at Breathe. He's going to be chunked. Beichuan, 1xn gets destroyed as a big taunt comes through from SeTab. Beichuan realizes he's the saving grace, but Light steps up and shines through the darkness and sits them down. A full ace for Weibo.
And what looked like a potential comeback fight for TT is a comedy of errors for them. Multiple different mistakes coming in, miscoordination coming in from all of the members. It'll be another Dragon going over to Weibo. And Lennon, I think we're good to say it. I think Weibo are looking mighty dominant and are getting ready for a 2-0 here in this series.
And it's just a question. It's the conversation of finally. Like, we finally get to see this team functioning together and actually finding dominance. I mean, yes, this play was a little bit topsy-turvy from TT across the board, but Weibo trying to keep a level head during this is so important to think about.
I mean, like, we can't fight here. 1xn just used his jump towards that brush, so we have to wait. I feel like if we were able to communicate that was better. 1xn still kind of only able to just now fight, and then just jumps through all of them and dies instantly. Like,
he went through the ground.
These mistakes are back-breaking here, and while Beichuan isn't able to eventually kind of win this fight, Light goes into the back line. At that point, the game's already over. You've already lost the fight here. I'm glad that Nofe and the rest of the coaching squad can have a little bit of fun, but it just feels like ThunderTalk are just not all there.
And I don't want to put too much of a introspective point or too much of a magnifying glass on the differences between 1xn and Light. 1xn is a developing player. It's been really cool to see his story propelled forward a lot, but you have to realize the difference in veterancy between him and Light. And honestly, it was fully on display right there. On one side, you have the potential for a massive carry moment from 1xn, gets flubbed there. Light, keeping a calm, steady, ice in his veins approach, goes in and gives that finishing blow that might just be the breaking of the back of TT in this series.
I think that's the difference between veterancy and... Oh, wait a minute. Hong just goes in.
Oh my god, Feather is just dead. Okay, here goes the heroic entrance onto Beichuan. They can reset the fight onto Tian. Tian's a little bit by himself here, but trying to get out. Has the flash available. Gets over the wall there now. TT, we're trying to look for a little bit of something. They have Hoya with Meganar ulti ready to go and walls around them. They might look for the re-engage onto Tian. He doesn't really have any tools available. Xiaohu has the Weaver's Wall to his name. Light still has the killer instincts there too. TT looking for a push out of mid. They have no vision to this side of the map though, and Baron started up by Weibo, Alk.
I think Baron is just gone here. Already half HP. Can Beichuan make the steal? And even if he steals it, can they even win the game from that point? Weibo do not want to try to chance it. They know that Feather is coming back from base. He has the possibility of going. They got to keep going.
Oh, they TP'd away.
Breathe.
Okay, this is chaos. Oh my god, Weibo. Tian already got the steal before. Can he get it again? He's going to be stolen by Xiaohu of all people. The Tiger King of Spring is earning that namesake now, and Light on the back line is going to be a menace to society here. A triple kill for the man in the mid lane for Weibo. And Xiaohu heard all the doubters. They heard all the naysayers, and he is making sure that Weibo will start this season with a 1-1 in Group Ascend.
There it is. The general, everybody salute for your leader here at Weibo Gaming. They take a big fight win, they get the Baron, and they're probably just going to be looking to push to end. There's a couple of respawns, so I think we got a little bit more time left in this game, but there's even a Mountain Soul in a minute and a half, and it just feels like all the wind is out of the sails of ThunderTalk. This replay, I mean, we were looking at it, we were a little bit questioning. This does allow for Breathe to kind of reset and kind of come at this fight from a different angle. But this Talia, I mean, he has had so much impact in this game alone. And the fact that he gets to have this much terrain generation and stop the rest of TT is just wonderful to see from the veteran in mid lane.
Oh, man. It is a masterclass performance from Weibo. And honestly, it just feels like TT is getting a little bit overzealous in some of these plays. It feels like the game plan is there, the setup is there, but then the execution is not up to the standard that it needs to be. And now they are backs against the wall. I mean, 10,000 gold down at almost 28 minutes is a honestly a little bit of a coffin here that they've built for themselves. Yep. And Tian's going to run down what I said, gets the cleanse out of him.
Wait.
Oh, he gets out. Okay, he's alive. He's fine. He's good. He's fine. Everything is fine.
I will say this does kind of slow down the game. You know, they can go back to mid because they're able to rotate so fast, but they could have been able to slap this wave. There's also a bottom lane wave, so they're probably just going to be playing on these two. Neferi has recalled, and time to see how Weibo close this one out. They can push for a couple more waves here and then look for the dragon that is spawning.
Just all in on the light. Beichuan just throws his life away. I guess they said, let's get out of this game, fellas. As that's going to be a chase down by Tian. Doesn't hit the impale. 1xN struggling to find an end into this one. Seismic shove from Xiaohu is going to be the saving grace as Hoya jumps into his doom. It's a death cannonball from him and a death knell from TT. Weibo will find even more. That's a 12-1-6 performance from the Tiger King of Spring himself. And I can say he's officially found his moment, as they will find a 2-0 domineering victory over TT.
That's your 5-star general, everybody. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Show some respect. Show some respect to one of the greats here to ever touch League, especially in the LPL. And well-earned MVP. I can already see it. I can see the MVP, 2 MVP votes. And I think not only an important series because we wanted to see them be dominant in this game, but I think a very, very important win for Xiaohu after getting bodied by Cream a couple days ago. So good win coming in for Weibo Gaming.
And it gets Weibo on the board in Group Ascend. I think there's a much different conversation now that happens on both sides of things. I think it's definitely elation for Weibo. It's what can be possible with this team when we see a performance like this against TT, who's probably the average middle of the pack kind of team. For TT though, I mean, I was talking about momentum. I was talking about, you know, emotions and things like that. This just, as you said perfectly, took the wind completely out of the sails of TT. I mean, it is so disheartening to have a brutal loss like this. And there's a lot of games left to play, but you were hoping to at least get something to show of in this series.
This is why, you know, coming out of Split 1, I think we had to unfortunately come back to reality. And while it's great that they got that win against BLG once, I mean, we've already seen it. BLG slapped them down on the first day of the LPL coming back from first stand. They barely win up against a struggling FPX. I think the reality is that unfortunately ThunderTalk are going to have to go back to their humble beginnings of being an 8th to 10th place spot. Again, here in the Group Ascend, you're in top 10. There are 4 teams that you kind of have around your, or 3 or 4 teams that you're kind of playing around in terms of your standing. So you really need to be able to win all of those games in a double round robin.
Yeah, you have to. And it's a little tough. I mean, you obviously bought yourself a lot of saving graces by being in Group Ascend in its own right, but you don't want to be a team that isn't able to find any wins or even give a little bit of a contest to some of the top teams here. And I know, at least transitioning back to more positive things, Weibo's going to be very happy about this one. Not only do they not start 0-2, but we actually get to see what this team can function like, right? There's a reason why we've been kind of really excited about the Tian Xiaohu combination and seeing a little bit more of that in a longer version of the split, because it can be dominant with the way that they play together.
I was really excited to see this as you know, a potential duo, because especially last year, I know we can probably attest to this, Weibo were an incredibly boring team. This team did not do very much in the early game. They very rarely were able to generate like early game leads, and they were mostly a scaling team that really wanted to play 35 minutes and more. But with Tian, I thought that he would bring some kind of driving force in the early game. He would say, look, I'm moving my mid laner. We are going to one side of the map whether you want to or not, and give this team a bit of spice. And so far, I think we're getting, the best of both worlds. Tian has been a little bit more measured in some of his fights. True. And Xiaohu has been a bit better at kind of moving around the map and being better for his team. Yeah,
it's not the Lucian mid that we saw the earlier part of the year that we got from it, even though that's a classic for him in top lane. But it is a lot more consistent performances from Xiaohu himself, and looking at some different choices that he can go with in that mid lane. I definitely think that Taliyah has to be watched out by a lot of the teams coming up in the future. I know you were talking about both teams' kind of trajectories moving forward. Doesn't necessarily get any easier for TT. Honestly, a little bit the same for Weibo in some regards. They have some easy games, but some tough ones coming up too.
Yeah, the FPX one definitely going to kind of be, at least we expect them to start now 2-1 if the match goes the way that it should in our minds. But going up against AL, a team that, you know, we haven't really seen them be able to face up against before, going up against NIP, who I think NIP is kind of on the bubble as to whether or not this is actually a good team here in a group ascend, and JDG afterwards, I think you're feeling pretty good about some of these matchups, depending on how JDG looks as the weeks go forward. So Weibo, again, they're a team that we're looking to kind of contest top 4, top 6, and they're going to need to continue to show it. Games like these are great. These are, again, the joke is like the scheduled wins. I want to see what this squad looks like going up against the top of the table here in the LPL.
Yeah, I'd be very curious about, like, to see what they look like if they get pushed, and trying to find that difference in terms of when they adapt and go straight meta, deciding in terms of their composition, or if they go with more of these kind of set play comps where, like, we saw that very heavily dive focused composition in game number 1. That's the kind of strategy stuff that I love to see pulled out by teams where they're practicing a lot of, like, tried and true factors of these 5 squads that are, or at least 5 stack squads that have a very easy win condition to try to go for.
Okay, 2 things. One,
what's up?
Are even 1xn in this game, I feel like kind of overreaching in a lot of fights.
Yes.
Is there light at the end of the tunnel here for this team? I know it's very early, but like I'm looking at the format again.
1xn is still good, man.
He's good,
He's
but
still
like
good.
we have a lot of teams in the LPL where like the 80 carry is really good, but the rest of the team doesn't really measure up in the same way. I'm looking at almost all of our group Nirvana teams, even like, again, Team WE, we're looking at Taeyun, where we go to like, I don't know, like FPX, we're really excited about Awesome and Jue. And then you think playing the second chance bracket to potentially get into the play-ins for playoffs, you're playing a bunch of best of 5s against group Nirvana teams and other group Ascend teams. I need to see more from this ThunderTalk.
I do too, and I think that's where we were kind of excited to see them against all these teams in Group Ascend. And again, we have to have the caveat that there's a ton of games left for them to play. Yes. It is the start of a 18-game spree, or at least 18-series spree for them. So it's still something to keep in mind there, but it's a team where you look back to all the praise and things that we saw from them in the early parts of the year, and you're like, man, I just want to believe. And I believe in Xiaohu supremacy here tonight, as it will be a back-to-back MVP performance for him in this 2-0 sweep by Weibo.
He's got as many MVP counts as he has LPL championships, so good to see from the general in mid lane. And not much, I'm just glad it was a 2-0. Yeah. I'm honestly, not only because I didn't have to watch a 3rd game of Weibo versus TT, but to prove Kelsey Moser wrong. She said I would be getting 3 games in this one.
There you go.
I'm feeling good about that one.
That's the dub. That's the dub that we love to hear. Alk, it's been an absolute pleasure to be alongside you for this one, even if it was a quick one. Bread behind the scenes, thank you for pushing all the buttons and being here all night. That is going to be it from me. Yanni's going to be coming in and step in to cover that BLG versus AL series with you. That one's going to be a giga banger. Don't you all dare go anywhere. We'll be back shortly with that next series.